Welcome back to Pivot to Profit, the podcast where personal growth meets business strategy. And I'm your host, TaVia Woolley. So today's mentor is someone you wouldn't even expect. They're definitely not a CEO, not a billionaire technically, and not someone with a best-selling business book. Today, we're talking about Jessica Fletcher from Murder, She Wrote. I know, just stick with me here. Trust the process, okay? So, for 12 seasons, if you didn't know that, this woman walked into rooms where nobody invited her, solved problems that stumped trained detectives, and built an international writing career, traveled the globe, and never once, and I mean never, let anyone talk her out of her own competence. I used to think she was just solving murders. Yeah, she was solving murders. Now I think she was showing us how to operate at a completely different level. So, here are 5 things Jessica Fletcher can teach you about building a profitable life, even if you've never watched a single episode. I've watched them all. I got you covered. I've watched them all. I got you covered. Just sit right back. Jessica was warm, gracious, even, but she was nobody's doormat. If someone crossed the line, she named it. And if someone underestimated her, she corrected them for the record. And she did so calmly without making it a whole thing. And she never, and I do mean never, carried other people's opinion of her around like luggage. See, a lot of us were taught that being agreeable is the same as being likable. So we say yes to everything, and somehow that turns into saying no to ourselves. One meeting, one discount, one drained afternoon at a time. So let's picture a photographer, for example, who usually charges $2,000 for a wedding, and a client says, "Can you just do it for $500?" No. A scarcity mindset says, "Apologize and cave." But Jessica's mindset, JB Fletcher, "My pricing reflects the experience and quality I bring. If that's outside your budget, I completely understand." There's no guilt and there's no over explaining. No quiet resentment simmering for the next 6 months. So here's an action item for you. This week, find the one place you've been overextending, whether it's a client, a family member, a habit of giving away free work, and write down the exact sentence you're going to say the next time. Then practice saying it until it feels boring instead of scary. Now, my favorite sentence is simply no. All right, now go ahead and use that one. So Jessica didn't just write about places, she went to them. If a book was set overseas, she often traveled there first because she understood something a lot of people skip past. Details build credibility and you can't fake them. Now, how that translates to business? Starting a coffee brand? Visit some roasters, talk to suppliers, learn sourcing, not just branding. And if you're going to be coaching, don't just post quotes, get certified, read the research, sit in the rooms with people further ahead than you. Don't be like some people we know. For example, say 2 real estate agents start the same week. One memorizes all the listings, while the other learns the school ratings, the upcoming developments, the financing quirks nobody else mentions. Clients can feel the difference even if they can't name it. So, which one are you going to be? So, for this week, I want you to spend one focused hour getting better at your actual craft, not your marketing, your craft. That hour will compound. Don't be lazy, be intentional. So, let's jump into lesson number 3. Okay, don't let gatekeepers have the final say. Every episode has some version of a detective telling Jessica, "Stay out of this." And sometimes they were real rude. And 20 minutes later, she'd crack the case wide open. For real, 20 minutes. She wasn't rude about it. She just understood that no is often just one person's opinion on a Tuesday. Yes, not a verdict on your future. Most entrepreneurs quit after one no, one declined pitch, one unanswered email, one rough review, and suddenly the whole ideal feels dead or your world feels like it's crumbling. Someone pitches their product to 5 stores. 4 pass on the opportunity, the 5th one becomes a 6-figure account. If they had stopped at 4, that account simply would never exist. Which person do you want to be? So this week, I want you to think of one goal you quietly let die, send the follow up, reapply, reach out again. Persistence isn't desperation. I know you might feel like it. It's just refusing to let someone else no become your final answer. Lesson 4, walk into rooms like you belong there. Jessica had this quiet audacity. She walked into mansions, police stations, political offices, exclusive parties. She walked into all of them the same way, like a person whose presence made sense. Not arrogance, just she knew what she brought to the table, so she sat down at it. Most of us wait for an engraved invitation before we take up space. Nah, sis, don't do that. Jessica acted like contribution was the invitation, and more often than not, she was right. Actually, she was always right. That was part of the plot. You're at a networking event full of executives. You can hover near the snack table all night, or you can introduce yourself to 5 people, ask real questions, and talk about your work like it matters, because guess what? It does. The difference isn't your resume, it's your posture. We've talked about this in a previous episode. So this week, pick one room you've been avoiding. Is it a Chamber of Commerce meeting, a conference, a board table? And walk in. Your future clients might already be sitting there. Actually, they probably are. So just walk into the room. So let's get into lesson number 5. Strategy beats ego every single time. Here's what I loved about Jessica. Jessica's quiet superpower. She let people underestimate her. She asked questions she already knew the answer to, and she let other people feel smart. I know it feels kind of creepy. Not because she lacked confidence, because information mattered more to her than being right in the moment. And that's where ego and pride becomes your downfall. That's emotional intelligence, and it's rare because most people would rather win in the conversation than win in the outcome. I want to win in the outcome, not the conversation, so get it right. Negotiating with an investor, instead of defending your idea, first try what concerns you most about this. Now they're talking, you're listening and you're learning and you're getting to respond with actual information instead of a guess, right? So this week, in your next important conversation, ask twice as many questions as you make statements and just notice what happens. That's the secret sauce, y'all. Most people don't listen. So let's be more like Jessica Fletcher, or JB Fletcher as we like to refer to her. So here's what an 80-something fictional mystery writer taught me about running a business. Hold your boundaries. Get genuinely good at your craft. Don't let someone else's no be the end of your story. Walk into rooms like you belong, because simply you do. And remember that strategy will always outlast ego. You don't have to be the loudest voice in the room. Really, you don't. You don't have to have it all figured out. No one does. You don't have to convince every single person, just the right people. You just have to keep showing up for the thing you're building. Because profit was never just about the money, it's about becoming someone who can actually hold and steward the life they're building. And sometimes the best business lesson doesn't come from a book. It comes from watching a woman in a cardigan calmly walk into chaos and quietly fix it. So that's it for this episode of Pivot to Profit, where personal growth meets business strategy. If this one hit different for you, send it to someone who's been waiting for permission to take up more space. I'm your host, TaVia Woolley, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. So until next time, keep pivoting with purpose.